everyone, my name is OMAATLA and I'd like to officially welcome you to the Active and Human podcast. Join me as I take you through a journey of storytelling that recognizes the disruptive impact that the Gen Z have made in the various spaces that they have plunged into. These will be moments where we appreciate impact, influence, and hard work. So sit down and stay tuned.
So, this is the thing. I was trying to text you earlier on before you arrived, and I realized that your name is literally Omi Forever on my phone.
I remember that.
Yeah, you remember when I asked you, can you please tell me your surname, girl? And you're like, why?
No, because it's like, why are you being a government official?
I need to have your name, like right now. What am I going to say? Hi guys, this is Omi Forever.
Yes.
Okay, fine, that's you. It's fine, I won't hold it back.
Me.
But this is the thing. You're a lady who deserves recognition because you have started so much. I'm not going to tell them what you've done because I never like to take away that moment from anyone. So I'm going to give you a moment to introduce yourself. Please don't be shy to just tell them who the hell you are.
And everything.
Everything.
Okay, I'm so nervous and so shy.
It's okay. There's just Jared at the back.
It's just Jared.
Yeah.
So basically, my name is OMAATLA. I'm not gonna go into surnames and deep stuff because I want to be
stalker and stuff
and everything. I want to be like my own type of person, not falling into this thing of like, oh, you're so and so. Is like this is just me. If you get me. So I remember it was the time. I'm gonna take you guys like way back into it. It was the time when COVID hit bots in 2020. It started in 2019, but only hit bots in 2020, and it was that time whereby lockdowns really frequent and it was like really scary, and there was just like a huge moment whereby things that weren't really talked about in the country and were kind of like very low-key came up to the surface, and we saw more moments whereby there were a lot of kidnappings, I remember, during that time. And there were also a lot of rape cases and gender-based violence based on the fact that there were more frequent lockdowns. And in that era, I just remember waking up and like it's a new person that's been, missing. It's a new girl child that's been raped, and like
you're just so fed up.
Exactly. And I think for me, it was really annoying when it got to the point whereby I felt like I'm not doing anything. Like, there are those activists who this thing repost, and like, yes, of course, it helps to some extent.
But where are the quantifiable actions?
Exactly, and I remember one morning, I woke up and I just like open WhatsApp and I see like another story, another person, another name. And I'm just there like, I don't want to keep doing this thing of just reposting, because it feels like Gabs is also like such a small community. So it's just like I'm regurgitating the information that you're bringing back to me. But together, realistically, I feel like we're not doing anything. I'm sorry. Like it felt like, it's just like such a small circle that's not doing anything. And I just woke up and I called my friend. I love her. She's my co-founder. Marang, she's like this amazing person ever.
Shout out to her.
Shout out to I love you, Marang. I love you. She's literally the first person I called, and I was like, Marang, I want us to do something different. I want us to actually make a difference. Even if it's like 0.005%, I want us to...
As long as there's a change somewhere that you can be like, okay, I contributed to that.
Exactly, because it's just like, it's better than nothing, realistically. And I remember I called her and she was just like, yeah, let's do this. Like literally, and it started. Like it just flourished and it went on, and that was just like that one moment that just like sparked everything that happened. And we just like went on, we're like, okay, we're going to do something. And I won't lie, it was crazy because it was like COVID times, there were lockdowns.
You're also in high school, hello?
Form 4, imagine. And it's just like, I'm still trying to figure out extended maths, and it's just like...
And who you are, like you haven't even discovered what you're going to be because you're trying to figure out whether you should be in core extended. There's a lot going on.
Like, it was a lot. It was like so much pressure. And I was just like, okay, am I over like my head in this? Like, am I, thinking I'm Superman or something? It's just like, I'm a girl in bots, like, you know what I mean?
What can I really do?
Exactly. It felt like I was so limited, especially with like the country that I'm in, and like the fact that I'm in this thing in high school still. I don't really have many resources to do all those things. It felt like there were so many reasons not to do it than to actually do it. But then it just felt like, Oma, realistically, if you're going to be like on this earth, make a difference into someone's life. Even if it's like literally like one person, at least you would have impacted their life. Like even if it's like with the smallest thing, like do something. And I remember we're just like, okay, Marang, what are we going to do? And we're like, okay, we're going to get like a small group of people and everything, like people, you know, who are like passionate about this and like who are willing and like, you know, exactly, like people who are hands-on.
We have the same vision as well.
You know, we do. If you think about it, if you think about it, you know, and it wasn't easy, I'm not gonna lie, because working with a group of people, especially whereby you guys kind of like different characters and personalities, it sometimes clashes in it. Like we'd have moments, because it was all girls, it wasn't supposedly supposed to be, but you know what I mean, it just happened to be like that and everything. But that's also like such a power move, like
like since I think again the way your project was centered around helping young girls, so it's like we get it, like you're able to imagine yourself in that situation, so you feel like if you were to sit down and have the conversation about creating something to make a change in a girl's life, would have a proper conversation compared to if it's with a guy. Like I'm not saying guys find it difficult to understand, but it's like you have to sit down with them and be like, imagine if it was your sister, but with the girls, like imagine if it was you. You get me?
Literally. Yeah. So it just felt like so proud. And I remember people be like, oh, why was it all girls and everything? It's just like, my guy, we're not attacking the guys here, but it's kind of like you're also losing focus on the bigger picture now. You know what I mean? Like who's really affected by this the most? Like we're not going to take away from the fact that of course guys are affected by this. It does happen and it's really unfortunate. But for us to now take away that, you know, perspective that like, okay, it's about what we're doing, not who's doing it, you know, that's like we're looking at the bigger picture of that. And I just remember we'd have fun moments, I'm not gonna lie, like we'd laugh, and then there are moments are just like, we need to figure out how to do this, who's gonna get like medical aid, who's gonna like do this, who's gonna go to the police, who's gonna go to Ministry of Health and everything. And it was like a lot, and there were moments whereby it felt like I don't think this is gonna happen. Like it really did suck at like moments whereby it's just like, okay, I feel like, you know, the Ministry of Health is, because we would write letters and everything to them, like asking like, can we do the march and please agree? Because it's just like, it's a 50-50 because it's like peak COVID times and like people are dying, and it's just like, you want to hold a march, you want to group up people in a global
we usually need people scattered
away. Exactly. And it just felt like, this is ridiculous, this is crazy. And it was just only just like, I really think by grace that it happened and it was able to go through, and we got like recognition in the sense of like from other Instagram pages that also had very similar beliefs and had a very similar page goal, if that makes sense. And they would reach out and they'd be like, wow, we love what you guys are doing, you're really spreading information about this. And I think with the page, it was more so centered on trying to get the rest of the world to know that there's a cute little country called Botswana and everything, and like this is what we're dealing with. And I feel like that type of activism also with accompanied by physical activism, it makes such a difference also. Like for example, the situation in, I don't know if it's Iraq, I'm not exactly quite sure, whereby women were, more so women than men, were getting killed for improperly wearing their religious headscarves. I think you heard about it. It was like
I think we had a conversation about that actually.
Yeah?
We had so many, this is the thing, you guys, like the time when we met, I think we just like spent like 2-3 seconds saying, oh hi, I'm ACTIVEandHUMAN, then it was into, we literally discussed so many things in such a short time. I remember that time I was supposed to meet someone else, and
at
like
the
our
library.
At the library, and that person was just looking at me, just talking and talking, and you talking, and that person was probably like, are you serious? Like you made me stand here just so that you can talk to that person? But see, I told you that when you sit on that couch, you're gonna have a lot to say. We're going to unpack everything, because your topic is literally Project Women. So it's all about you and them, you know. But before we get to your project, I want us to look at these questions first, because I feel like as much as we're interested in your role as an activist, we'd like to know you as an individual, you know. So if I ask you to tell me about yourself, you're going to filter out things, but these are questions that you're not going to filter out things. Like you're just gonna give it, because
hopefully,
you're gonna give it, babes. They always do that. Okay, so first question. You've been chosen to represent your country in a global competition. What sport or activity are you doing?
Shoot. You know, I won't lie, I did sports, like primary, like high school, like everyone did sports and everything. Was I good at the sports is like the real question. But I think I'd do badminton, I'm not even gonna lie.
Really? I can't even imagine it.
I think it's so fun because it's like tennis, but like for people who are just a little bit more like softer with it, and like, you know what I mean? It's just like quack, quack, quack,
See, the thing is, I honestly don't like balls thrown at me. Like, I feel like I would have been so good in sports because I was just, this is one thing about me is I always want to try something new. And I feel like that's one thing that has allowed me to make whatever changes I was able to make from such a young age. I was always so delusional about creating change. So it's like, for you to create change, you need to be welcoming, like willing to welcome new things or new experiences.
Very open-minded.
Yeah, so I've just been the type of person to just want to try new things. But with sports,
why not sports though?
but weirdly, like I was telling Lara, I was like, I actually played football.
You did football?
Like, I did football.
Girl!
I did football. I did netball. And at one point, I wanted to do basketball, but that was because my crush is there and stuff. But yeah, I ended up doing football and netball. And then with football, I was telling Lara that, okay, once it went to Muchuli, right, there we play the real football. Because it was like a girls' football, right?
Yeah.
But like, I was like, this is the thing in Gabs. It's like girlies football. Like if a girls, we know you can't hit my face. Like you can't push me.
Oh, Muchili, they rough.
It's like rugby and soccer.
No, they were coming for you personally.
Like, and I was like, you about to tackle me on this field?
Personal attack.
I'm out. Like, please, no way. I was literally about to be on that field, and I told my coach, I was like, you're gonna hate me for this, girl, but this is not my sport. Yeah, I literally did that. But yeah, probably, I think my answer to this is probably going to be netball.
Netball.
It's so easy.
I feel like netball is also aggressive because I used to watch, like, I never did netball, but I used to like watch the girls at like my high school do it, and those girls were like me. Like when they like, and it's just like, okay, this is like aggressive netball, and like that's.
But with netball, it's like controllable aggression. You know, it's like with netball, if you push me hard, it's going to be obvious, and people are going to be like, "Girl, why are you doing that?" You know. But with girls' football, it's like, go toughen up and stand up. You know what?
Like, get up, come on.
Like, get up. The ball, like you need to hurry. You know what I'm saying?
God.
So yeah, I'm a girly. I'm gonna go for netball. Yeah, but having balls, no way, count me out. Honestly, nah, not with that life. Next question is, what's one of your favorite recent memories?
My favorite recent memories, I think, oh my gosh. So this thing at the beginning of the year, well, me and my family, we typically go for like this thing, like a vacation at the beginning of the year, like just like a different country, different parts and everything, just to like be like well knowledge and traveled and everything. So this year we went to Namibia, and it was so beautiful. Like I know it's just like, oh, it's just like Namibia, but when I tell you, like the sand dunes and the contrast of like the orange sand dunes and everything, and like the blues, it feels unrealistic. It's just like, how is this like even like a thing?
It's like you low-key question whether this is real or it's like a different world that's sort of like a bit not existent.
It was just like so beautiful. But I think the most beautiful memory would have to be like when we like palamad like on top of the thing, and then there was like this beautiful like basically the sea and everything, and the sun, it was setting, and that height,
it's like that quote that says, is that how like the sky meets the earth, sort of, and that
it's
scenery,
and it was like so beautiful and breathtaking because like it's like the beginning of the year and you're just having that moment. It's just like, I feel like this is, I don't want to jinx it, but it might be a good
that
year.
moment where you're like, okay, like if this is possible to even be real, then I think, I might just have a happy year. I totally get you.
Just be that good, because it's just like it's starting off at such a high note also, which is like such a beautiful thing. And I feel like traveling is like such a thing that we need to really be more open-minded to and like encourage more so, because it's just like it's so freeing, like also for your mental health. You just feel like okay, stress of school, stress of people, stress of everything, it goes away, and you're just like actually appreciating living and like being a person, like experiencing life, you know. That was just that was the best. What was yours?
I think mine was on Monday, you know, like
you like this Monday.
This Monday, literally this. I mean, like I'm not like trying to overshadow every experience that I've had, but this Monday, you know, like when I thought of the idea of like Active and Human podcast, I did so much. Like and at one point, especially this month, it was so hard because at one point I literally told my mom, I was like, Mama, I think I'm gonna have to give up. Like it's not gonna work out. Like we were at a point where I was like, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen because I've tried everything. And on Monday we had people come in for the photo shoot, everything, and just witnessing how everyone was enjoying the space that we had fought so hard to create. It was like, oh my God, I really need more of this. You know, like sometimes it's like, okay, yeah, failure is another reason to like try harder.
Yeah.
But sometimes you really need to just have those wins, man. Yeah. So like that was like, I think I'm winning at life. So like you, it was like, okay, this is January. This is just January, and I'm experiencing this. So what about February, March, April, and May?
It could get better.
Exactly.
Oh,
so that was like the best moment ever.
No, that's so beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna end at this one because your topic, man, your topic is just a lot.
Yeah.
What's the last thing you completed that you're proud of?
That I completed?
Yeah, that you completed that you're proud of.
What am I proud of that I completed? That I've actually done? I think I'm going to say, I know this is like so nerdy low-key, but something that I completed and I did really well in, I think, even though like maths is like such a math subject for me, it would have to be my IGCSE Form 5 extended maths. And I think the thing that really showed me that I can do a lot of things is I used to fail. Like, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. Like, I used to fail maths, and like being in a class whereby it kind of was, I don't want to say seamless like the smart class and everything, but it was like depicted to be that, you know, and that stress of like, okay, all my other classmates are like acing and like killing it, and I feel like I'm falling behind, like I'm not doing that well and everything, and being in such a very also competitive class and just, you know, trying, and it seems like, okay, I'm not getting anywhere. It sucks because it's just like, okay, let me just go to core maths, let me just stop fighting, let me just give up, you know. But to me, it was just like, oh my, there's like a bigger picture to this. It's not just high school, like you fighting for this and like giving it your all, even if it's like you take an L after an L after an L, and it feels like wins are just like impossible with you. And it was just me working hard and like really praying and like, putting in so much effort, like sleepless nights, having mental breakdowns, like crying and panicking. And it was just like when I saw Horek and I ace that extended maths, I know it's just like a thing of like, oh my God,
you just had that moment where like, what?
Like they were actually,
this is me.
Like I did that, you know what I mean? Like coming from someone whereby like my lowest was like, yes, it's like 38. Like honestly, like coming from like 38 and everything to get to that point, I was just like, okay, so basically I'm unstoppable and I can do like a lot of things. I can do whatever
it is that I want.
Like I could really pass, like I can, you know, and it was just something like I'm proud of myself because it's just like I don't ever have to feel like anything is impossible for me. Like, you know, no dream is like too big or like too out there. It's just like you can do it. Just put your mind to it, work hard, and love it. Don't give up. Yeah. Don't give up. That's definitely something that, as cheesy like way long ago.
No, I think for people that are struggling academically, we know how difficult it is to have like those sleepless nights, always reading, and you write your test and you still get that 40%. Like, so it's really frustrating because even in varsity, guys, we experienced that so many times. BSc will humble you for real. You will have all these moments where you're reading and you feel like, okay, I'm ready for this test. Get in that room, you will understand why it's called BSc, just in short. They don't, you know what, like, yeah, I totally get it. But I think with me, the last thing I completed, you know, at beginning of last year, I started this journey where I was like, okay, I was transitioning into a person, like I was transitioning from this person that I felt like I wasn't proud of to this person that I wanted to be, you know. And you know, it's like I'm going through this metamorphosis a bit where I'm like completely changing every attribute I have to become a positive one. And it's so difficult because in that journey you lose friends, because obviously the people that I had then were aligned to that person that I was, and I was moving to this person where she didn't know anyone, you know, so I had to start by also making new friends. I had to start by also accepting that, okay, regardless of whatever it is that's happening over here, people think, why are you acting brand new? Why do you suddenly want to stop?
Why are you switching up?
Why are you switching up, you know? And also just going through the situation where you realize maybe how much of a bad person you were, or just taking accountability of everything that you've done in the past. And I think completing that was like a really amazing like moment. I was like,
finding
okay,
yourself and being authentic to who you really are.
I'm in this place where if I show up, I swear to you, I'm gonna be me. Like I'm not even going to start. Yeah, I'm not even going to start like switching up personalities. The me that you know is the me that Raho knows, is the me that Jared knows, is the me that everyone knows. And I've always wanted that moment, because I felt like for years I've been just living a lie a lot, like
trying to fit into places, trying to like, you know, be likable.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's so true, because that was also me in high school, just trying to like be normal and not, you know, be out there and stuff like that. But for you to be able to find who you are authentically and to find people who appreciate you for who you are, it's just such a beautiful thing. It's not easy.
It's not. It's definitely
you lose friends
you do.
and you like,
and
you
there
know,
was like a moment where like I was really losing like
a lot of friends.
So many. I was like, is there something wrong with me?
Am I the problem? Am I the drama?
But it's at the end of the day, it's like they are not bad people. No.
Yeah.
I'm also not a bad person. It's just that I'm changing. I'm growing. So our interests are no longer in a certain alignment that they were before, you know. So yeah, that's all difficult, but if we're to talk about that, it's gonna take the whole, you know, year or whatever. I want to talk about your topic, Project Women. I mean, you're in Form 4 and traditionally you need to start thinking about in Form 5.
Let's just start there.
You need to start thinking about like, because there's just so many things. You need to start thinking about the university you want to go to, whether or not, so many things that you need to think about. And you thought of starting an organization, you thought of starting a movement, you thought of starting something that was going to change and shake the world. You thought of changing lives. And your lives, when in your life you haven't even figured it out.
I don't even know who I was.
You don't even know who you are. You don't even know. Good, at this point, you even have to start talking to your mom about like buses, like you haven't even experienced life, but you want to change others' lives. And you know what? From the parents' perspective, that's so crazy, because
it is.
What I remember, like I experienced the same thing when I was starting like this whole thing of like when I ventured into activism. And I remember I was having a conversation with someone who was older. I was like, you know what, I think I need to start conversations about maybe prostitution, women being given more rights. And he said, you're waiting for your results and you're thinking about what? You're thinking about this. She's like, girl, do you even know yourself? Like, why are you interested in other people's lives? And I think since we have like both of our interests are in what's happening in our respective societies, I think we've learned to appreciate that the work we do in activism is a defining moment for us as well. We discover ourselves through being in those conversations. We discover ourselves through being in those protests, being through like those, I don't know, man, tours to different schools. That's how we find ourselves. And people look at it as you're wasting your time. You know, you need to be focusing on other things. But those other things that you're focusing on do not define you. Those other things are not you, you know, or they contribute so small, just so low to who you're trying to be.
That's not the truth, though.
But exactly. So I think to have a young person like you to start something so big that made so much impact with, and like other girls like you brought in, and it wasn't even about, oh, we're the face of this. It was more of, you know what, we don't even care about whether people know us or not. We just need results. So let's continue, in fact, because you had already given us like foundation to work on. And we were talking about how it was during the COVID times.
And it was so hectic.
Yeah.
For me, I think I really love the fact that I have a very supportive mother, and she's just, because I remember when I told her like initially the whole thing, and she like, you know how other people's parents would be like, OMAATLA, you're just going to focus on maths, though. Like,
I mean, already I get to 38%.
It's just like, it's not looking good, you know what I mean? And it was a thing, it's okay, I wasn't failing, guys. Let me just clarify, I wasn't failing. It was just maths.
We all understand maths.
Maths was just that one.
You guys know,
You know, and I just love how she just saw this as like, Oma, I'm going to support you, I'm going to help you, and like anything that you need, I'm going to be there. Same thing with my sister. She was like, Oma, like, I'm so proud of you. Like, you're going, girl, go get this. And I think it's such an important thing for like parents and also siblings to be so supportive of like, you know, these type of aspirations that we want to pursue. Because for me, it was such a long thing of like, humanitarianism that made me realize that I want to help people, whether I go into medicine through BSc. I think I told you this that one time.
Did have this
we had that conversation, and I was like, if BSc fails it, I would love to go into international relations and everything, to work in the UN, to still help people, like as long as I'm helping people.
That I remember that time we actually talked about how, I think we talked about purpose, about how like it's not just about, people think that, oh, because she decided that she's going to do sciences, she's going to stick in sciences like forever and ever. You know, just because you've decided to venture in a certain career path doesn't mean that that's like defining of who you are. As an activist, I think it's, being an activist is so beautiful because it's like you look at everything around you and literally the world is so limitless. It's like today you are in the creative industry because you need women to be seen, you need women to be understood. Tomorrow you're in the truck business because you feel like, you know what, my gender is not given, like spaces are not given, seats at the table. And then also you're fighting for men because you feel like people don't understand why men are not, you know, makeup artists. You know, you're just fighting everything and everyone, and you just feel like, you know what, this is my house, man. You know, at the end you're just there like, you know what, I can do anything and everything. Literally. And people find it so strange when like you'll be probably doing your science and you're like, okay, maybe if I don't do sciences I could do law, and they're like, how does that make it make sense? Literally. Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's just figuring out that, you know what, I have so much power and I have to use it.
Yeah, I think it's also just like such a motivational thing to hear, especially for us who are going into like uni and everything, that it's just like wherever you are, it's not the end. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's more to life. Don't feel like, okay, if BSc doesn't work out, my life is over. If law doesn't work out, my life is... Like you are so young, you're full of so much life and potential to aspire to be so many different things. You know, like honestly exhausted. As young as you are, even if you're like 35, I know like much older people who've changed career paths and like are doing something different. You
know, that's the beauty of life. I mean, probably the lowest life expectancy, it's like what, like lifespan is 60 years old. You have like 60 years to live a life, and you want to just focus on one thing. And there's so much, you know what, when you look at the world in terms of locating loopholes, you realize how much like work needs to be put in. Like when you look at the one and say, okay, let's look at this industry, what's missing, and you look at, okay, we need to do this too, you find yourself actually so excited to live life because you'll be like, okay, I need to finish this fast, I need to finish this podcast so that I can start doing this season.
The next thing.
And the next, you know what I'm saying? It's just kind of like showcases how beautiful life is, and the number of experiences you also kind of like experience or like pack. You know, you have like so many stories to tell, and I think
you grow as a person so much. It's like the most beautiful thing ever. Like I keep on saying beautiful because I feel like life itself, it's like you said, like there's no limit to it, to the things that you can do. You hear so many amazing leaders and everything that go off and like change the world with little things. Is it Greta? I forgot this.
Greta Thunberg.
Exactly.
Yeah, the guy, the girl who. Did you see the Twitter thing?
With her and Andrew Jade.
And she was over a pizza box. You know what? And that's the fun thing about activism again, because you really play with your intelligence. I swear it's like, as an activist, having a conversation with someone who's just so focused on derailing you or pulling you down, you just look at them like, are you really trying to do this?
Are you really
and you don't even, and you literally make them feel so small by saying, I have so many things to do.
Like you're just
so insignificant. Like hold on.
In the grand scheme of everything.
Exactly. Please. And it's so, I think the most amazing part about activism, especially as a young woman, is that you get to connect with other activists. Like you sit down in a room and you have a conversation, because activism allows you to express yourself. The moment you start a conversation, you realize how much intelligence there is in the world. Like it's like every day is a learning day. It's like every day you learn something from someone, and it's like, it's not school. It's free education every day, literally.
And it's like life lessons as well.
Exactly.
It really is. And you just grow as a person. And what I love about that is that you influence other people and you inspire other people.
You have these moments where people are like, you really did this. And sometimes activism can become difficult in the sense that you feel like you're not doing enough, because today you have this win, but tomorrow there's like something that's like bigger that happened. You need to find a way to deal with it. So it's also emotionally challenging. So it's like you meet those people that are like, oh my God, you're doing this, or oh my God, you're so smart, or oh my God, I'm so proud of you. It just allows you to create this relationship with people where you can acknowledge yourself and you can see people acknowledging you as well, and you get pushed to do more. Yeah.
And you just grow, and you grow with other people. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about it. My vocab sounds so limited. I keep using beautiful, but I'm sorry, there's no other word that I think, you know, properly describes it. Just like the growth of, like, you see you and me right now, what we're having is going to be like some other girl or some other guy is going to watch, and they're going to be like, wow, like that's really cool. Like they did that.
Yeah, they
let's do something.
Yeah, you know, and to just have people say, oh, we watched this episode where OMAATLA and Amantu were talking about this. You know what I'm saying? It's like every day you're an inspiration and you're also being inspired. So it's like a two-way thing.
It's just like a growing cycle, and it's beautiful. And no, I wish
we're doing what we're doing in the library. We're going to have this conversation for like 2 hours.
This is not going to end.
Yeah, this is not going to end. I want to know, you said something that is so important when you introduced yourself, and you just gave us a bit of some background information about how you started this. And you mentioned those moments when you're going to the ministry and you felt like your voice wasn't as loud as it should have been, where you felt like, okay, you are writing letters and showing people that there's so much purpose in this, but it's as if people didn't see it. And that's something that I feel like people undermine. Like people, like if you're to say I've went through a lot, because you're at a point where you're successful, people undermine you when you talk about how many walls you literally
hardships, struggles, how many no's, how many come next week, how many
so I want you to just take us through that journey, like what was happening, especially for something like, is it and girl hate BW, right? Yeah, it was. It's something that has so much influence, you know, but obviously for it to be here, there was a lot that went down.
It was just, how can I even like start off? I just remember it being a thing of like, we'd have to go to like to police and everything, and I get permission to like go on the roads and stuff, because you can't just like decide to cause traffic.
Just pull up and say, oh, sorry guys,
like don't hoot at me
and stuff, you know,
support us. Go on Instagram too. You know what I mean? Like you can't just like go do those type of things. And it was just so tricky, because like we tried to get it like on the perfect dates, whereby it's like, okay, just before exams and just before like, you know, things get hectic, and timing and trying to like pull it off properly, and also just having to go left and right and left and right. And I remember like, I don't know, there were moments where I'm going up staircases, elevators, you know, trying to reach people, going from this thing, office room to office room, asking, I'm looking for this person, I'm looking for this person. They're like, there, but what are you doing? What do you want to do? But do you want to do a match? Do you want to do a match? Put it all.
And you know, just listening to how much they see this project of yours as insignificant.
That's the thing.
You know, like how they just talk about it like, you know what I'm saying?
Like, like, you know, and it's just like, but there's more to it at the end of the day, because I feel with the whole march, it was also a thing of saying, you don't have to necessarily go through something or experience something to want to like help the situation, help to, you know, make it better. So for me, it was a thing of like, I don't want to get to that point whereby I am now part of it, and it's just that like, that's when I want to start to care. And I feel like a lot of people have this mentality of like, okay, no, but it doesn't affect me, so why should I care? It doesn't affect my mom or like my sister or like whoever, so it's just like, why should I be bothered about it? And it's just like, when it does affect you, remember how other people were quiet the way you were quiet. Remember how no one was speaking the way you were speaking, how you were like, how other people were like, no, it doesn't affect me, why should I care? It affected you, sorry. But it's just like, I don't want us to get to that point. I don't want anyone to get to that point whereby it's just like, okay, it's a thing whereby like, okay, a lot of people, the only people who care are the ones who are affected. That's not gonna make a difference. That's not gonna make a change.
Definitely.
I think with the Black Lives Matter, I'm digressing so much, but with the Black Lives Matter, as a Motswana maybe who's never experienced racism in their life, you still want to help and like make it, even though
you're part of the movement.
Even though you've never faced, you know, this thing, any heat or any like type of racism from, you know, police officers all the way in the States when you're here, you still want to, you know, have that voice, have that say, and like really help, you know, to make it better and to make other people's voices be heard. And it makes a difference, because I really do believe when you do that, people look at that government. They look at like, sorry, governments of like those countries and like their presidents and their leaders. It's just like, this is what you're allowing in your country. This is really how you're running your, you know, your system and everything. You're allowing these things to happen. And that type of pressure enforces them to do better when they feel like, okay, no one's gonna like really say anything. But it really does make a difference when a lot of people are like fighting and choosing and like, you know, like, okay, what are we going to do? All these type of things. It highlights, you know, the how can I say, the imperfections in the system, and it really does put more pressure on our leaders, you know, to make a difference and to actually, you know, make a mark and to say something. Because if we don't pressure them into doing something, like, okay, it's just gonna continue.
You know, again, like as like a young woman or just like a young teenager trying to start up something, I feel like one thing that people don't understand about taking an initiative is that you literally need to get yourself out there. You need to do the real work. Like you need to go to that place, knock on that door, request for that meeting, convince that mayor or that minister, that guy on that black seat, that guy on that, you literally need to do the work. And it's like, if you're not willing to do the work, then whatever change you wish to see will not take place. And I think that whole process is mentally challenging, because during that moment you're meeting people that are like, why are you so interested in this? Like, just go home, bruh. Like, first of all, yeah, you can do this, but even if you start doing it, it won't make a difference, because people before have been doing it. But it's a matter of, but I'm not those people.
I'm different.
I'm different.
Like, I know that's so cheesy, but like, I'm
different. It's like, I'm built for this. I know you think, I know like multiple people have been like saying this to you, but I'm the one, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's all mentally challenging. I want you to just talk about how it affected you. I mean, we're looking at a time where you were also dealing with meth. That monster, you were also dealing with school and just like an identity crisis also. And you were like trying to figure out your life as an individual, but you also had this dream of, you know, making something that looked impossible possible. So how did that work out for you? Like, how were those sleepless nights, girl?
It was stressful. It was really, really stressful also because people knew about it. Like, they knew like, okay, something's in the works and everything. And I think the scariest thing is like flopping. And it's like not, I didn't really care that much as like, okay, I don't care what people think. I just really want this to happen and to make that difference, you know? But at the same time, like, it's still a pondering thought in my head, like, okay, OMAATLA, people are gonna be like, yeah, she tried to do something, but it failed. And it was just like, I wish I didn't care, but I also can't lie and say like, I didn't care. Like, you know, people are gonna be like, hey, so, you know, the march is still happening, what's happening and all that stuff. And it was just so a lot, because I never wanted to be like in like the limelight and everything, because I'm a very reserved person. I'm not really like very out there, and like I'm not really even a social media type of person. You just want
people to understand that I'm like, this is what needs to be done, but you can leave me though, like you know,
me, I'm
as
just
long
okay
as
being in the background.
I'm okay behind the scenes, but you need to do this. We need to do
focus
this.
On
focus on this project, not me. And it's a sad thing, because it's a sad thing for the introverts, for us, you know. It's a sad thing that when you come up with, and weirdly speaking, it's always the introverts who are coming up with these like crazy ideas, and you'd expect us to know that, okay, if you come up with something like this, you're obviously going to be in the public eye.
Like, you're gonna see you and then be like, yeah, that's that girl. And it's just like, I don't want to be known as that. I want people to think, when they hear the word, like, sorry, the page Enough is Enough BW, they don't think about me, they don't think about Marang or the other amazing girls who are part of it. They think about, okay, what's the bigger picture? What message were they trying to say as the youth? You know, like, okay, we're fed up. We also feel like, okay, things aren't working, people aren't doing their jobs, and like I feel like it's very inefficient, and we feel like, okay, now we have to step in and, you know, actually make a voice to say, hey, can we wake up? Can we, you know, get back to what we're supposed to do? Can we like put more pressure, put more people into situations and positions whereby they actually do something, you know? And I wanted that to be the thing, never for us to, you know, really be like, oh yeah, those girls and everything. It was never about that, because it's just like, why be the face of something and everything if the impact that you make doesn't help more people, doesn't actually make a difference? And that was just like my whole thing. But it was hard, I'm not gonna lie. It was,
you know what,
hard.
I was talking in one of the episodes, we were talking about how difficult, like when something is meant for you, how difficult it really is to like implement. Like I felt like we were talking about how like in a situation where something is easy to just like plan out and then you know, just know that
things go south sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. Things went south.
Yeah,
Things
but like
really
I mean,
south.
like in a situation where for you to really know that this is meant for me, you really have to be at your lowest point and just feel like this is not gonna work. You really have to. I swear that's how it literally happens. You literally have to be at that point where you're like this was last week. This was me last week. I'm telling you, this is me last week. And to think that this was like 4 days ago, was with my mom, I was like, I
don't want to do this anymore.
We're selling ourselves some dreams over here and we need to stop. You know, and it's so crazy. But let's talk about like the boundaries that you had to break down during this whole thing. I mean, first of all, your agenda doesn't really help. The fact that you're a girl,
and it's just like you're trying to do something.
You're trying to do something with already like because you're a girl, and
I'm a student as well.
On top of that, you're a student, which means that those ageism boundaries are also there, tightening everything up. So tell me about how you just went through this whole process. Like, what was the challenge? What were the challenges that you faced because of being a girl and also being young?
And being I think the whole student part, like being a child of school, was just really it felt like such a barrier to me in the sense that, okay, people are going to see me and they're going to be like, okay, you're a kid trying to do something. Like, aren't you supposed, like I said previously, like, aren't you supposed to be focusing on school, your academics? You're about to write soon. You're about to, like, you know what I mean, start uni. Why aren't you focusing? And it was a thing that it would constantly hit me that, like, okay, maybe I'm, you know, thinking way too big and everything. And I just needed to tell myself that, OMAATLA, we're going to hear no's from people. But if we just stop there, you're never really gonna like prosper in life. You're never gonna go beyond what you can actually, you know, just because someone said no and closed the door in front of you, it doesn't mean, okay, that's the end of the road. I might as well go. No, you keep on pushing. And I remember there were moments whereby we talk at home where just like, I was like, Mom, I feel like this thing, like what's the same I talked to my mom, and I was like, I feel like this thing is like a lot, and like there's so many things I have to figure out, and like when you think you've gotten something done, like there's 7 other things you have to figure out. You have to, you know, and it just hit me, and it felt like, okay, what am I going to do? You know what I mean? And I think it's a thing of just being stubborn and being like, you know what, I'm going to do it, and I don't care who tells me no, and that's what's going to happen.
You know, whenever we talk about activism, the first thing that comes to people's minds is, you need to know Martin Luther King, you need to know, like, and our generation isn't really fascinated by like books and authors, but as activists, we know that it's really about emotions, actually caring, you know, it's just actually putting yourself in that situation. And I remember, because I felt like I've always been an activist, but I didn't know I was because of that narrative that, you know, I need to be into these really big activists. I need to be able to quote them every now and then. You know, I just had this whole conception that
like you had to be like super woke and like know every historical person.
But like from a young age, like I'd always like, I felt like I was an author low-key. Like I'd always write these like paragraphs about a certain situation that would happen and just analyze the whole thing. And the beauty again of writing, and also like the intersection of writing and also being an activist, is that you get to have a multi-perspective scenario where you're looking at, okay, fine, we have a perpetrator over here, but what exactly molded this perpetrator? Like what happened in the past for us to create or like to deal with such an animal? And then we look at also the side of the victim to say, okay, she did not deserve this, especially from him. So how exactly can we help her? And in that way, you're also able to sort of like manipulate the way you live your life as well. To say, okay, fine, I should strive to probably not be a victim and also try not to be a perpetrator as well. And that I feel like instills so much knowledge in you as an individual. Do you like ever have those moments
where you just like realize, no, but that's so deep and that's so true, because we end up looking at a lot of this thing, serial killers and like Jeffrey Dahmers and all those type of things, and you look at their upbringing and it has such an effect, and it's just like, okay, certain things, of course, we can reduce how it happens and the rates at which it happens by also looking at the root problems, people's upbringings, and also men's mental health into it. Of course, it's never a justification of like what they do ever, but it's a thing of like, if we can, you know, provide more services and help out and have more reach out lines that actually work where you call them, you know what I mean? It makes such a difference to reduce. It just needs people who are willing to do it and who actually want to care.
Definitely.
You know?
I mean, we've talked about, I mean, you guys have two activists sitting on like an episode. We're going to talk about so much, and we're going to probably, if we had time,
we could go off.
We could,
I mean, so many things to say.
We could talk about this the whole entire day, because I mean, you have two activists in one room, literally. But we're going to cut it short, and I'm going to say thank you so much. I mean, there are people watching out there, and I think everyone is somehow trying to find a place in this world that's so difficult. I mean, like, people are just trying to find their feet and their balance in this earth, and it becomes difficult because, again, there's a lot of comparison. You're always wondering if someone is doing better than you, or if you're liking. There's just a lot of confusion, and to have people like you are able to occupy space and say, listen, if you want to start this, I'm also willing to listen. Or if you're doing this, I'm watching you. And as much as I might not be in that team of yours that's taking those actions or like those making those meetings, I'm your number one supporter because I've been there. Or for people who are also just watching and saying that, okay, I had this crazy idea yesterday, but I should probably forget it. Now watching you and saying, she also had a crazy idea and she didn't forget it. And probably her circumstance was worse, her environment was worse than mine. So thank you so much for just being here and having this conversation with me. I always ask people, the majority of the interviews, I ask them to give advice, either to their younger selves or to the audience. I mean, like, it's your ship, you can take it away.
I think, okay, to anyone really, I would definitely say that please never think that you're limited to anything, regardless. I feel like, of course, that's about when we feel like, okay, we compare ourselves sometimes to the things that happen in the States, and like, you know, I can't make a huge, you know, YouTube channel. It won't be as big as the people in the States. Please know that you are not limited to anything and that you can achieve everything you wanted. There are people out there who are told no several times, like I can't even count how many times, you know, and they kept on pushing and going, and they said, you know what, I don't care, and I'm going to achieve it, and I'm going to do it. And I wholeheartedly believe that if you have that passion and that fire inside of you, you can accomplish anything, and don't let anyone tell you no. This is your life, so be the author of your life, and don't let anyone else take your pen and write it for you. So I think
that was so powerful. That was so powerful, looking at the fact that, I mean, you are our last guest on the show. This is the last episode. I'm not sure when they're going to be, you know, your episode, but you are our last guest for this week, and it has been an amazing journey. Thank you again for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have completed our episode, and it is that sad moment where we unfortunately have to part ways, but I mean, we meet to part at the end of the day. So again, thank you for being with us. I think we're going to wrap it up and say, Danko.